Colás el Chico and Colás el Grande. A long time ago lived in a town two men who were called the same, Colás. The one called Colás the Great had 4 horses, and the one they called Colás el Chico had only 1. Throughout the week, Colás the boy had to plough Colás the Great, and lend him his only horse. Colás the Great lent the other his 4 horses, but only on Sundays. On Sundays Colás el Chico used the whip with force so that the 5 horses worked more to take advantage of the only day that had them. "Oh, my horses!" Colás el Chico lamented one day to make the passing people notice that he had 5 well-worked horses. "You must not say this," Colás the Great chided him. "Only one of the horses is yours." But as soon as people came back, Colás the boy, forgetting that he should not say it, shouted again, "Oh, my horses! I warn you for the last time," Colás the Great said. "As you repeat," he threw a blow at your horse that left him dry. "I promise you I will not say it again," said Colás the kid. But more people passed him than he greeted him with a nod, and Colás the boy gave the horses a whip again, exclaiming, "Oh, my horses! I'll give you your horses!" cried Colás the Great. And picking up a gavel he gave the horse to Colás the kid and killed him. "Oh, I'm out of a horse!" Colás the boy lamented, bursting into tears. After the cry, Colás the boy skinned his horse, put the skin to dry in the wind, put it in a sack that was loaded behind his back, and started the way of the city to see if it sold. By the way that crossed the forest, Colás el Chico was lost. But when the boy realized it had fallen night and it was too late to return home, the boy then saw a farm and went there to see if they would shelter him. In the house alone was the owner, who asked Colás to leave, because her husband had not returned yet and admitted no strangers. "Well, I'll have no choice but to spend the night out," Colás the kid said, while the woman closed the door in his face. There was a large pile of hay nearby, and between him and the house, a small shed with a thatched roof. "I can sleep up there," said Colás the kid, when he saw the roof. "It will be a good bed." Colás el Chico climbed into the shed and lay down. From where the boy was, the interior of the house could be seen. In the center of the room was a large table, with wine, roast beef, fish and a delicious dessert. Seated at the table were the mistress of the house and the sacristan. Then he heard the trot of a horse on his way to the house, was the husband of the peasant, who was returning. The husband was an excellent man. His only fault was that he could not see the sacristans. That's why the sacristan was going to see the woman when her husband went on a trip. At the hearing of the returning man they were both frightened, and she asked the sexton to hide in a large empty chest. "What a pity!" sighed Colás el Chico from the roof of the shed, when the banquet disappeared. "Who's that?" the peasant asked, looking at Colás the kid. "What do you do in the straw? Come in, you'll be better." Then Colás the boy told him that he had gone astray, and begged him to allow him to spend the night there. "There was no shortage," said the man, "but first we will do something for life." The woman received the two kindly, set the table and served them a plate of porridge. The peasant came hungry and ate with a good appetite, but Colás only thought about that succulent roast, the fish and the cake hidden in the oven. Under the table he had left the sack with the horsehair that went to the city to sell. As the porridge choked, he pressed the sack with his foot, and the dry skin made a snap. "Chit!" said Colás to the sack, at the same time that he stepped on it again and produced a louder click than the first. "Here's." "What are you carrying in the sack?" the owner of the house asked. "Nothing is a witch," said the other. "He says we do not have to eat porridge, with the roast beef, the fish and the pie in the oven. "What do you say?" exclaimed the farmer, as he ran to open the oven, where all the appetizing foods that the woman had hidden appeared, but which he supposed were there by the witch. The woman did not dare open her mouth. He brought the delicacies to the table and the two men ate the fish, the roast and the sweet. Then Colás pressed the sack again, and the skin creaked again. "What does he say now?" the peasant asked. "He says," replied Colás, "that he has also sent out 3 bottles of wine for us, and that they are in that corner, next to the oven." The woman had no choice but to extract the wine she had hidden, and the farmer drank and became cheerful. "Can you get the devil out?" I ask. "I would like to see it." "Of course," Colás replied. "My sorcerer does as I ask." "True?" he asked, pressing on the sack and producing another creak. "Do you hear?" He said yes. "But the devil is very ugly, you'd better not see it." "I'm not afraid." "What do you think it is?" "He looks a lot like a sexton." "Phew!" exclaimed the man. "Yes, it is ugly. You know, one thing I cannot suffer is to see a sexton. But it does not matter. Knowing that it is the devil, I can tolerate it for once." "As you wish, I will ask the witcher," Colás said, and pressing his sack against the ear. "What does it say?" "He says open that ark and you will see the devil, is inside huddled." The farmer raised the lid a little cautiously and looked into the interior, not letting his occupant out. "Oh," he said, jumping back. "I already saw it. Just like a sexton. Frightening." They celebrated and spent much of the night talking and laughing. "You have to sell me to that wizard," said the farmer. "Ask for what you want." "No, I cannot," said Colás. "Think of the benefits I can get out of this witch. I fucked him." "Sell it to me," insisted the other. "Well," said Colás at last, "I will do it because you have been good and you have given me asylum tonight. I will give you the witch for a fair eager of money, but it must be an overflowing fair eager." "You will," replied the farmer. "But you will take the ark too. I do not want her at home for another minute. Who knows if the devil is still in it?" Colás the boy gave the farmer the sack with dry skin, and received in return a fair eager of well-filled money. The campesino still gave him a wagon to transport the money and the ark. "Bye, Colás," the kid said, moving away with the coins and the ark containing the sacristan. On the opposite edge of the forest flowed a very deep river. As he crossed the bridge, Colás loudly, to be heard by the sacristan. "What do I do with this box so uncomfortable? It weighs as if it were full of stones. I'm getting tired of dragging it, I'll throw it in the river. If it floats to my house, well, and if not, it does not matter." And he lifted it a little with one hand, as if to throw it into the river. "Stop, do not do it!" cried the sexton from within. "Let me out first." "God help me!" exclaimed Colás, pretending to be astonished. "Still here? Let us cast him into the river without wasting time, let him drown." "Oh, no, no!" the sacristan begged. "If you let me out, I'll give you a fair eager of money." "Well, that's different," agreed Colás, opening the ark. The sacristan hurried out of it, threw the ark into the water, and went to his house, where Colás received the promised money. With the one the peasant had given him, he now had the cart full. "I got the horse well," said Colás the kid, "the rage that Colás the Great will have when he sees that I have become rich with my only horse. But I will not tell." And he sent a boy to Colás the Great's house to ask him to lend him a measure of bushel. Why do you want it? Colás the Great asked himself. And he anointed the bottom with tar so that he could stick something he wanted to measure. And so it happened. And when they returned, the fair eagle had struck in the bottom 3 shining silver coins of 8 shillings. What does this mean? He exclaimed. And ran to Colás el Chico's house. Where did you get that money? I ask. From the skin of my horse. I sold it yesterday afternoon. Well, they paid you well, said the other, and, without wasting time, returned to his house, killed his 4 horses with axes, and, after skinning them, he went with his furs to the city. Furs. Who buys furs? I walked in the streets, shouting. The shoemakers and tanners came, asking the price. A fair eagle of money for skin, said Colás. Are you crazy? They shouted. It's a lot of money. Furs. Who buys furs? Colás the Great shouted again. But no one was willing to pay so much for a horsehair. In the end, Colás the Great had to return home, repenting for having been so easily deceived, carried away by greed.